Ever wonder if your last name is actually a secret map to your past? Most people think their surname is just a name. But what if I told you that being a Poynton actually links you to Saxon settlements, Domesday records, and even NASA space missions? Let's dive into the rabbit hole. The story of the Poynton name starts way back in the East Riding of Yorkshire. We're talking about a place called Boynton, mentioned in the Domesday Book as Boyntone. It sounds fancy, right? It's rooted in Old Saxon terms, buying for a habitation and tone for an enclosure. Basically, you're named after a place that literally defined the landscape centuries ago. By the 12th century, we find figures like Bartholomew de Bovington standing at the head of the family tree. This family wasn't just sitting around either. They were building lofty and handsome mansions like Boynton Hall, set in richly wooded parks with massive sheets of water. Imagine living in a place so beautiful, it sounds like a fantasy novel set piece. But the name didn't stay in Yorkshire. Oh no, the Poyntons were travelers. We see them popping up in Cornwall, Ireland, and eventually heading across the globe. And here's where it gets wild. Migration wasn't always a luxury cruise. Take William Poynton, for example. He was sent to Australia on the First Fleet in 1790 after being convicted of stealing. He's a part of that rugged early convict history. Then you have Thomas and Mary Poynton, who became some of the very first Catholic settlers in New Zealand. They were so influential, they actually helped bring Bishop Pompallier to the country. Talk about leaving a mark. The Poynton legacy is a strange mix of the highbrow and the high stakes. You've got Sir Matthew Boynton, a baronet in the 1600s, and then you've got Fred Poynton, who survived the sinking of the HMS Repulse during World War II. That's grit, pure and simple. And it doesn't stop in the past. Did you know a Poynton helped NASA? Charles A. Poynton, a technical genius, founded a corporation that was contracted by NASA to convert space shuttle television signals for NTSC broadcast. From Saxon enclosures to the literal space shuttle, that is quite the trajectory for one family name. Whether you're a rugby legend, a classical scholar at Oxford, or just someone curious about your roots, the Poynton name carries a weight that spans 1,000 years. It's a tapestry of survival, exploration, and adaptation. Their family motto? Il tempo passa. Time passes. It's simple, almost haunting, isn't it? It reminds us that while we are just a blip in the grand scheme of history,
Have you ever wondered why a quiet, tiny village in Yorkshire is secretly obsessed with turkeys? No, I'm not talking about a weird local festival or some bizarre poultry protest. I'm talking about a church that's literally covered in them. Welcome to Boynton. It's a place so small that if you blinked while driving through the East Riding, you'd probably miss it entirely. But beneath that peaceful, sleepy surface lies a history that is honestly just a little bit wild. The name itself, it goes back to the Saxon era. It's derived from Bofingtun, which basically means the settlement connected with Bofa. Imagine being Bofa, right? You settle down in some nice Yorkshire fields, and 1,000 years later, people are still talking about your backyard. But the real mystery isn't the name. It's St. Andrew's Church. You walk inside and you expect the usual stained glass, maybe some saints, some typical religious iconography. Instead, you're surrounded by turkeys. I'm not kidding. They are in the wood-carved lectern. They're etched into the windows. They're even hiding in the roof bosses, looking down at you from the rafters. Why turkeys? Well, it's all thanks to a man named William Strickland. Legend says he's the guy who actually brought the very first turkeys to Britain back in the 16th century. Imagine the scene. William rolls up to the docks with a bunch of confused, gobbling birds, and he decides, yeah, these are going to be a hit. He loved them so much that the village decided to immortalize his feathered friends in stone and wood forever. It's probably the most delicious architectural tribute in the entire United Kingdom. Now, the Boynton name itself is a massive rabbit hole. It's not just a village, it's a global legacy. You've got the aristocratic Boynton family, historically tied to the Grand Boynton Hall. But then the name travels across the ocean. You've got convicts on the First Fleet heading to Australia, and pioneers like Thomas and Mary Poynton, who were instrumental in early New Zealand history. You've even got people like Charles Poynton, whose tech helped NASA beam space shuttle signals back to Earth. The family motto? Il tempo passa. Time passes. It's a simple reminder that whether you're a Saxon settler, a pioneer, or a modern engineer, history is just a series of moments that eventually turn into stories. Boynton has been through everything. It was part of the medieval Dickering wapentake, it survived the administrative chaos of the Humberside era, and today it sits as a quiet residential gem in the East Riding. It's a place that proves even the smallest dot on a map can hold a world of secrets, if you're just willing to look.
Ever wonder if your last name is actually a secret map to the past? Most people think a surname is just a label on a mailbox. But what if I told you that one specific name, Poynton, is a literal time-traveling bridge? It connects ancient Saxon farmers to the high-tech wizardry of NASA space shuttles. No, I'm not kidding. This isn't just a family tree. It's a living historical record that defies logic. The story starts way back in the East Riding of Yorkshire. We're talking about the Domesday Book, where the name appeared as Pointone. It's rooted in two Old Saxon words, byne, meaning a habitation, and tone, meaning an enclosure. Back then, your name wasn't just you, it was the land you stood on. By the 12th century, the family had moved from simple enclosures to aristocratic heights, eventually building the grand, sprawling Boynton Hall. Imagine it, a handsome mansion, lush wooded parks, and massive sheets of water. They were the definition of established power. But here is where it gets wild. The Poynton legacy didn't just stay tucked away in a fancy English estate. It fractured and spread across the globe, becoming a bizarre mix of the highbrow and the high stakes. Consider William Poynton. In 1790, he was shipped off to Australia on the First Fleet. He wasn't there for a vacation. He was a convict. Yet fast forward and you find Thomas and Mary Poynton in New Zealand. They weren't just settlers, they were pioneers, instrumental in establishing the Catholic faith in a brand new land. Then look at the sheer grit of Fred Poynton, who survived the horrific sinking of the HMS Repulse during World War II. From the gallows of a convict ship to the freezing waters of a war zone, this name has seen everything. And then we reach the modern era. This is the part that truly blows my mind. Charles A. Poynton, a total technical genius, founded a company that was actually contracted by NASA. Think about that for a second. A name that began in a muddy, ancient Saxon enclosure ended up helping to convert space shuttle television signals so the rest of us could watch history unfold in our living rooms. From the medieval dirt of Yorkshire to the literal stars. How is that even possible? Whether it's a rugby legend, a scholar at Oxford, or an engineer talking to astronauts, the Poynton name carries a weight that spans 1,000 years. It's a tapestry of survival, exploration. Have you ever wondered if your family tree is actually a carefully curated lie? No, really. Think about it. We all assume our ancestors were just regular folks, but what if you're actually connected to a 17th century baronet with a secret past? I recently fell down an absolute rabbit hole trying to uncover the truth about Sir Matthew Boynton. You've probably never heard of him, but this guy was a big deal in the 1600s. And yet, tracking down his own parents, it's like trying to solve a cold case from 400 years ago. Most people think genealogy is just clicking a few buttons on a website. But let me tell you, when you're dealing with the British baronetage, it's a total mess of heraldry, land deeds, and old-school drama. I spent days digging through the complete baronetage and the official roll of the baronetage, and honestly, it's wild. One minute you're reading about the prestigious history of Boynton Hall in Yorkshire, and the next, you're hitting a digital dead end because some random law decided that historical records are now private? I mean, how crazy is that? You're hunting for a 17th century aristocrat, and suddenly you're blocked by modern data protection laws or a random DMCA takedown. It's like the internet is actively trying to hide the past from us. But here is where it gets juicy. Through the digital noise, the social media clutter, and the endless boring genealogy forums, I finally found a thread.
William Boynton II. Born around 1576, died around 1638. He's the bridge. He's the guy who connects the dots to Sir Matthew. It's like finding a missing puzzle piece in a room full of confetti. When you look at the geography of it, the East Riding of Yorkshire, the ties to Burton